So what's the fifth and final big idea that you need to know in order to be an effective leader in our youth ministry? This last idea is this: move them out. And when we say move them out, really what we're talking about is we're talking about how we can learn as leaders to engage our students' faith in the bigger story of following Jesus. There's three ways we're going to focus on doing this as leaders. The first is this: when you move them out, that means you, number one, move them to someone else. Here's a sad truth that you're going to have to accept before you even start leading in our youth ministry. Eventually, there's going to come a day when you are no longer the small group leader of your students anymore. Here's the thing: we have to remember the big picture, which means we have to be willing to move our youth to someone else. Get this: studies are showing that the more Christian adult influences a student has, the more likely they will stay connected to the church and their faith after graduations. Which means our goal, part of our goal as leaders, needs to be helping our students develop a thick web of relationships with adults, Christian adults in our church. We want to help them develop a crazy network of relationships with adult Christians in our church. You and I, we want to encourage other Christian adult influences in the lives of our students. Okay? So that's the first thing we want you to do. Man, when you're a small group leader, look for ways you can introduce your students to other Christian adults in the church and encourage the development of relationships with those kinds of people. The second thing we want you to focus on: when you move them out, that means you, number two, move them to be the church. Listen, here's the deal, and you should know this. It's not just about attending church. Church is more than a building. It's more than a location. We are called to be the church. We as a people, we are the church. And here's the deal: a student will never feel significant until you give them something significant to do. If they aren't being the church when they're with us, they won't know how to be a part of the church when they leave us. This is why one of our top priorities isn't actually to get students serving on Shiloh or at Shiloh on Monday nights, although we give opportunity for sure. That's obviously great. One of my top priorities is to get students from Shiloh serving at church on Sunday mornings. And the reason we want to focus on that is because we want students to understand that following Jesus is about more than youth group. There's space for you in our church to serve. And so it's really important as a small group leader, make sure that you're keeping an eye out on the gifts and the talents and the interests that your students have. And when you spot an opportunity to connect them into some serving opportunity at the church, go for it. Figure out how you can help get them plugged in. We just actually recently had one of our leaders get one of his students plugged in on our tech team, and they're already starting to learn how to work the lights and how to do sound, and they're very technically minded. And so that's the kind of stuff we want to see our leaders doing. Look for opportunities on how you can get your student engaged in serving on a Sunday morning. Last but not least, we want to help move them on to what's next. This is all about setting students up for success in the next phase of their lives. Now listen, this is definitely going to look different from group to group. And part of this, we are still on a journey of figuring out what it all looks like. But maybe your students are about to face the big halls of middle school. Maybe they're about to transition into high school. Maybe they're about to graduate high school and transition into university. Regardless of what transition is coming up, we want to make sure that we're putting thought as small group leaders into how we can assist, come alongside our students during these transition seasons. We want to help make these seasons a lot more smoother. Maybe if they're going into high school, that means, I don't know, bringing in some high school people and giving them a little orientation. Maybe that's walking alongside them through the college application process. It can look different for a lot of different situations. Maybe you can plan to clear your calendar for an extra year. This is something, an extra year to walk them through one of the most significant transitions of their life. I don't know. But no matter what age or stage of your students, they will eventually face a life transition. And how you prepare for and walk them through that time can ease the growing pains and the anxiety to help them become more comfortable about what's coming up next. So, that is the last big idea we want you to be focused on as a small group leader. We want you to move them out. And the 3 ways you do that is by moving them to someone else, moving them to be the church, and moving them to what's next. Thank you so much for being a part of our 6-part training series on Lead Small. I'm so excited for everything that God is going to do in the lives of students because of your sacrifice as one of our leaders. Can't wait to hear about the stories. Can't wait to celebrate the wins with you. It truly is a pleasure to have you a part of the team moving forward. Thank you.